Listen closely, because this is where most people sabotage their entire future without even realizing it. They keep whispering to themselves that next year will be different. They convince themselves that 2026 will magically be the year everything changes, the year discipline suddenly becomes easier, the year motivation wakes up inside them like a switch being flipped. But that fantasy is exactly why so many people stay stuck in the same place for years, replaying the same habits, the same excuses, the same failures. And as they wait for the next year to arrive, they waste the only thing they actually have: time. You think you're waiting for the right moment, but the truth is the moment is waiting for you. Life is not going to pause, rearrange itself, and whisper, "Hey, now is perfect." There is no perfect moment. The only real moment is the one you're in right now. People talk about 2026 like it's some kind of reset button that will wipe their slate clean. But 2026 is just another date on the calendar. If you don't fix your mindset today, you will carry the same problems, the same laziness, the same hesitation, and the same fear into that year too. Imagine looking at yourself in the mirror today and realizing that your future self is depending on you, not tomorrow, not next month, not when you feel ready, right now. Every small decision you make is shaping that version of you. When you hit snooze, he pays the price. When you skip the workout, he gets weaker. When you delay your goals because you're tired, he loses time he can't get back. And when you decide to do nothing, you are training yourself to be nothing. You want 2026 to be different. Then make today different. Make this hour different. People love the idea of a new year because it gives them the illusion of a clean slate, like they can procrastinate without feeling guilty. But if your life is not changing today, what makes you think flipping a calendar will transform you? Nothing changes magically. Change is brutal, intentional, and uncomfortable. Change demands that you stop negotiating with your excuses and start fighting for the life you claim you want. Every champion was built in days that didn't feel special. Nothing glamorous, nothing dramatic, just consistent decisions stacked on top of each other. That's how success works. And yet, so many people keep saying, when I get to next year, I'll start. Start what? Becoming disciplined, becoming focused, becoming the version of yourself you know you're capable of being. Why aren't you starting now? Why are you offering your future self a burden you don't want to carry today? If you want to win in 2026, you must start winning in 2025. If you want to become powerful next year, you must build the habits this year. The clock is already running. The world is already moving. Competitors out there are training, improving, building, grinding. They aren't waiting for the next year. They're not even waiting for the next hour. They are doing what needs to be done now. And that is exactly why they will stand in the winner's circle while everyone else stands around with excuses. Your life will change when you understand that delaying action is delaying your destiny. Every day you wait chips away at the greatness you could become. Every day you delay your potential, someone else is taking the opportunity you refuse to chase. And one day you will wake up and realize that the future you kept waiting for already passed. And you didn't become the person you were meant to be. Most people think life gives them endless time, endless opportunities, endless chances to start over. They wake up every day believing tomorrow will look exactly like today. And that comfort becomes their silent enemy. They don't realize how fast things can change, how quickly life can shift, how suddenly the world can flip upside down and force them to move whether they're ready or not. And because they think they have time, they never build momentum. They stay standing still. They stay trapped in comfort, pretending they'll start later. But the truth is simple. If you don't start building momentum now, you will get crushed later when life demands speed you never prepared for. Momentum is not something you magically receive. Momentum is something you build by doing the small, repetitive, unglamorous actions that you don't feel like doing. It's created in silence, in private, in solitude, long before anyone sees results. And once you build it, life becomes easier, decisions become faster, discipline becomes natural. But when you never build it, every day feels heavy, every movement feels forced, every task feels like pushing a mountain. Because you have no internal engine running, most people live like they're waiting for motivation to suddenly strike, as if a lightning bolt from the sky will hit them and wake them up. They don't understand that waiting kills momentum. Waiting drains your energy. Waiting creates a lifestyle where everything feels hard. And the irony is brutal. The more you wait, the harder starting becomes. People say, "I'll begin next week," the same way someone sinking in water says, "I'll start swimming after I rest a little." You're drowning. You don't have time to wait. Momentum is built the moment you choose movement over excuses. The moment you stand up when you feel tired. The moment you take action when your body wants comfort. The moment you stop thinking and start doing. That first step is small, maybe invisible to others, but it's the spark that ignites everything else. Because once you move once, moving again becomes easier, then natural. And before you know it, you're no longer forcing yourself to move, you're being pulled forward by the momentum you built. Think about the people who win in life. They don't wake up every day feeling unstoppable. They simply refuse to let their feelings decide their future. They create momentum by taking action even when their mind screams to rest. They stay disciplined when no one is watching. They build speed slowly, quietly, consistently, until one day they're miles ahead while others are still trying to convince themselves to begin. That difference isn't luck. It's momentum. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. Life is going to force you to move eventually. Something will happen. A challenge, a crisis, a missed opportunity, a painful moment. And when that moment hits, you will either be destroyed by the pressure or propelled by the momentum you already built. That's why you start now. Not because you're ready, not because the timing is perfect, but because you don't want life to hit you while you're standing still. Imagine a version of you who wakes up already in motion, already sharp, already mentally prepared. Imagine stepping into 2026 with momentum so strong that nothing can slow you down. That version of you doesn't appear out of nowhere. You build them by what you do today, by what you do this hour, by what you do when no one else is paying attention. When you build momentum early, not only do you move faster, but opportunities start appearing. People notice. Doors open. Challenges shrink. Everything changes because you changed. This is the truth most people avoid. The world will not slow down for you. It will not wait for you to feel ready. It will not care about your excuses or your delays. The world belongs to the people who are already in motion, already progressing, already pushing forward with force. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to join them. But the moment you decide to move, even in the smallest way, you begin creating momentum that can completely reshape your entire life. There is a dangerous illusion that destroys more potential than failure ever will. It whispers to people that the right moment is coming, that there will be a perfect day to start, a perfect mindset, a perfect plan, a perfect wave of motivation. And because they believe in this illusion, they stay stuck. They sit in the same place, thinking the universe will somehow align everything for them. But the perfect moment is a myth. It does not exist. Every day you wait for it. You fall further behind the life you could be living. People tell themselves they're waiting for clarity, waiting for inspiration, waiting for the stars to line up. But real life doesn't reward waiting. It rewards movement. You're not losing because you're incapable. You're losing because you're paused. You're losing because you're waiting for a signal that's never coming. If you want to win, you must understand something very simple. The perfect moment is created, not found. It's born the moment you decide to act, not the moment you feel ready. Think about how many dreams die simply because someone waited too long. Not because they were too weak, not because they lacked talent, but because they convinced themselves time was on their side. And before they realized it, months slipped by, then years, then entire pieces of their life vanished while they stayed parked in hesitation. They thought waiting was safe. But waiting is the most dangerous thing you can do, because life keeps moving even when you don't. When you take action, even imperfect action, you create motion, you create momentum, you learn, you adapt, you sharpen your instincts. But when you wait, you gain nothing. You stay in the same place while the world keeps moving forward without you. The people you admire aren't smarter than you, they simply started before you. They didn't wait for a perfect moment. They acted while scared, while confused, while unprepared. And because they acted, they grew. Because they moved, they built strength. Because they refused to wait, they reached places others only dream about. Waiting is disguised fear. People don't admit it, but that's the truth. They hide fear behind excuses. They say, "I'll start when things calm down." They say, I'll start when I'm more confident. They say, I'll start when I have time. But these aren't reasons, they're delays. They're avoidance dressed up as logic. The world doesn't care about the excuses you make to protect your comfort. The world only reacts to the actions you take. You must understand that movement is superior to stillness. Even the wrong step teaches you something. Even a small step builds momentum. But no step at all traps you in the same life forever. There is never a perfect moment because perfection requires movement. You can't steer a car that isn't moving. You can't shape a future that never begins. You can't fix a path you're not walking. Progress demands motion long before it demands accuracy. Every great transformation in history began at an inconvenient moment. People started businesses when they were broke. They changed their lives when they were overwhelmed. They rebuilt themselves when they were exhausted. They rose because they acted at the very moment most people would have waited. And that's what separated them from the crowd. They refused to wait for comfort. They refused to wait for certainty. They refused to wait for permission. They acted, and their action created the clarity everyone else kept searching for. If you keep waiting for the right moment, you will never take the first step. There will always be something in the way. There will always be noise, obstacles, responsibilities, doubts. Life doesn't pause so you can gather courage. You gather courage by stepping forward while shaking. You gather strength by beginning before you feel strong. You become ready by moving before you feel ready. The perfect moment is not coming. You are the perfect moment. Your decision right now is the catalyst. Every second you wait is a second where someone else, just like you, is moving, building, growing, becoming the person you'll one day envy. You can either watch them rise or rise with them, but you cannot do both. You either wait or you win. That choice is in front of you right now. There is a powerful truth that most people ignore because it forces them to confront their own choices. Your future is not built on dreams, intentions, or wishes. It is built on what you do today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not in some fantasy version of your life where you feel more motivated, more energized, more prepared. The future you want is shaped by the decisions you make right now, in this moment when no one is watching, when excuses feel easy, and when your mind tries to pull you back into comfort. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. And every time you avoid action, you are voting for the weaker version of yourself. People don't realize how quickly small decisions stack. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next year. Time doesn't slow down just because you do. While you hesitate, while you delay, while you keep promising yourself later, life is silently shaping itself around your inaction. You wake up one day wondering how you ended up where you are, but the truth is simple: you built it. Every day you chose comfort over growth, distraction over discipline, excuses over effort, and those choices created the future you're living in now. The thing about building your future is that it doesn't require dramatic moves. It doesn't demand perfection. It demands consistency. It demands that you show up on the days you don't feel like it, make progress when progress feels slow, and take steps even when there is no applause, no validation, no instant reward. People think success is some massive leap, some intense moment of courage, but it's not. It's the quiet repetition of doing the things that matter long after the feeling of motivation fades. Every day, you're either building a future that empowers you or a future that impresses you. And the scary part is how quickly time passes. Look at the last 12 months of your life. Did you move forward or did you repeat the same cycle? Did you grow or did you simply survive? Did you build or did you stagnate? Because next year will pass just as fast, and the year after that even faster. The future is coming no matter what. The only question is whether you will meet it as someone stronger or someone who stayed the same. You cannot afford to treat your life like it's a rehearsal. You do not get multiple versions of adulthood to test. You only get the life you're living now. And when you waste days, you waste opportunities. When you waste opportunities, you waste potential. When you waste potential, you waste the extraordinary life you could have lived. You're not fighting for motivation. You're fighting for the man you'll be a year from now. And that man is being built today through your choices, your habits, your discipline, your refusal to tolerate mediocrity. People love to say, one day I'll fix my life. But one day is not a date. One day is a lie that keeps you comfortable. One day is the reason people stay average. One day is the excuse that ruins futures. Winners understand that the only thing they control is right now. They don't wait for the perfect emotional state. They don't wait for circumstances to change. They take what they have, where they are, and they build. Because they know tomorrow doesn't care about your excuses. Tomorrow rewards the man who acted today. You want a stronger body. Build it today. You want a disciplined mind. Train it today. You want a better life. Earn it today. Because the man who consistently uses today to build will always outperform the man who keeps waiting for tomorrow to save him. You don't need more time. You need more responsibility. You need to take ownership of the hours you're given. You need to tell yourself the truth, that every day you waste is a day stolen from your future. The future doesn't belong to the most talented, the most gifted, or the most lucky. It belongs to the man who shows up. It belongs to the man who treats every day as a brick, knowing that each brick forms the foundation of something greater. And even when that foundation looks small, even when no one else sees it, even when progress feels invisible, he keeps laying brick after brick. Because he knows that what he builds today determines what he lives tomorrow. There comes a point in every man's life where he has to make a decision that will determine the rest of his future. And that decision is simple, but brutally difficult. Will you keep negotiating with your own weakness, or will you finally cut off the part of yourself that keeps holding you back? Most people don't fail because of a lack of opportunity. They fail because they keep allowing the weakest version of themselves to speak. They let that weak voice bargain with them, convince them to slow down, convince them to relax, convince them to settle for less than they know they could be. They make deals with their own laziness, and those deals turn into chains. Weakness always speaks in a soft voice. It sounds comforting. It tells you that you've done enough for today, that you deserve a break, that you can try again tomorrow. It tells you that discomfort is dangerous, that discipline is too heavy, that success requires too much sacrifice. And because it whispers gently, because it feels like relief, you start believing it. You treat your weakness like it's a friend, when in reality it's an enemy disguised as comfort. You don't lose battles because you aren't capable. You lose them because you let your weakness negotiate your future. The problem with negotiation is that weakness becomes stronger each time you listen to it. Every time you skip a workout, procrastinate on your goals, or betray your own standards, weakness grows. It becomes bolder. It becomes louder. It controls more of your decisions. Soon, you aren't even choosing anymore. You're simply obeying the softer, weaker part of you that wants everything easy and nothing earned. And the world is full of men who let this happen, men who had potential, men who had talent, but wasted their lives because they kept giving weakness a seat at the table. There is no greatness without conflict. And the conflict that matters most is the one inside you. You think your real fight is against society, competition, poverty, or circumstances, but your real fight is internal. If you master yourself, everything else becomes easier. If you lose to yourself, everything else becomes impossible. The man who succeeds is not the man who has perfect conditions. He is the man who refuses to negotiate with weakness. No matter how tired he is, no matter how stressed he is, no matter how tempting comfort becomes, he stands firm against the lazy voice in his mind. He acts in spite of emotion. He moves forward without permission. Weakness thrives when you give it time to speak. Strength appears when you silence it with action. That is why disciplined men win. They don't feel different from anyone else. They simply refuse to be driven by emotion. They refuse to be manipulated by comfort. They wake up tired and still move. They feel pressure and still execute. They are tempted by distractions but stay locked in. Discipline doesn't remove struggle. Discipline removes negotiation. When you eliminate negotiation, you eliminate the possibility of failure. The world respects a man who cannot be shaken, who cannot be persuaded by his darker, softer impulses. And the only way to become that man is to draw a line in your mind and declare that weakness is no longer a voice you answer to. You decide that when you set a standard, you follow it. When you set a goal, you chase it relentlessly. When you promise yourself improvement, you deliver. Weakness becomes irrelevant the moment you stop giving it attention. There is a version of you who is waiting, the version who is stronger, clearer, sharper, more disciplined, more focused, more powerful than the man you are today. But you will never reach him if you keep negotiating with weakness. That version of you is on the other side of sacrifice. He is on the other side of consistency. He is on the other side of denying comfort. And you reach him not by thinking, not by wishing, not by planning, but by refusing to give weakness a single inch. You must become the kind of man who does what needs to be done, not what he feels like doing, because feelings lie. Weakness lies. Comfort lies. But discipline never lies. Action never lies. Results never lie. When you stop negotiating with weakness, you stop living small. You stop living in hesitation. You stop living in fear. And you finally start living like a man who controls his destiny. There comes a moment in a man's life where he realizes that respect is not given by chance, by luck, or by simply existing. Respect is earned by the life you build, by the standards you uphold, and by the reputation you forge through consistent action. And the truth is, if your life does not demand respect, the world will not give you any. People treat you according to the identity you present. If you walk through life with weak habits, weak discipline, weak character, the world will mirror that weakness right back at you. To be respected, to be recognized, to be taken seriously, you must build a life that leaves no room for doubt about who you are and what you stand for. A man earns respect by becoming someone who does not break under pressure, someone who does not fold when life becomes difficult, someone who does not run when challenges appear. Strength is not measured by muscles or loudness. It is measured by presence, by how you carry yourself, by how you perform when everything around you demands surrender. If your life is built on excuses, you will be treated like a man who hides behind excuses. But if your life is built on discipline, consistency, and relentless action, the world will eventually recognize that you are not like everyone else. Respect begins in the silence of your private decisions. It begins when you choose to stay consistent even when no one is applauding. It begins when you hold yourself to a higher standard than the people around you. If your circle tolerates mediocrity, if your environment encourages laziness, if your habits are soft, then your life will reflect that softness. But if you become the man who rises earlier, works harder, stays focused longer, thinks clearer, acts sharper, and refuses to tolerate weakness within himself, then your life will evolve into something others cannot ignore. You don't gain respect by talking about what you're going to do. You gain respect by becoming the man who actually does it. You gain respect when people look at you and see proof, not promises. Results, not excuses. Strength, not potential. The reason so many men feel invisible in life is because they blend in. Their routines look like everyone else's. Their ambitions sound like everyone else's. Their discipline matches the crowd instead of rising above it. You cannot expect respect while living like the masses. Respect belongs to the man who stands apart. Building a life that demands respect requires sacrifice. It requires long days, uncomfortable moments, routines that others would quit. It means holding yourself to commitments even when they lose their excitement. It means becoming dependable, consistent, and unshakable. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you identify a weakness, you confront it. When you see an opportunity, you seize it before hesitation even has time to breathe. Respect grows from the discipline of becoming a man whose actions align with his words. The world respects men who build themselves, men who refuse to stay down, men who actively chase improvement, men who show progress month after month, year after year. A man who builds himself becomes a man who cannot be dismissed. His presence changes rooms. His energy demands attention. His discipline earns admiration, and even those who dislike him must acknowledge the strength he carries. Because the life he built became undeniable. A respectful life is not loud. It is not boastful. It is powerful in its silence. People watch how you move, how you respond, how you operate. They watch how you treat your responsibilities, your goals, your time. They notice the difference between a man who has control over himself and a man controlled by distractions. A man who builds a disciplined life becomes magnetic. He becomes rare. He becomes someone others naturally look up to, not because he asked for respect, but because he lived in a way that made respect the only possible response. You cannot demand respect with words. You demand it with the life you build. Every decision you make is a brick. Every habit you refine is a tool. Every hour you discipline is another piece of your foundation. And when that foundation becomes strong, solid, unshakable, the world will adjust itself around you. People will treat you differently. Opportunities will appear. Doors will open. Obstacles will shrink, not because the world changed, but because you changed into the kind of man who the world pays attention to build a life that demands respect, and the world will never again mistake who you are or what you are capable of. As we reach the final moments of this journey, I want you to pause and recognize something important. Everything you've heard, everything you've absorbed, every idea that challenged you today was never meant to entertain you. It was meant to confront you. It was meant to push you to look at your life with the kind of honesty most people spend their entire existence avoiding. Because the truth is simple: nothing changes until you change. No mindset, no breakthrough, no transformation arrives on its own. It demands your participation. It demands your willingness to act long after the motivation fades. And throughout this speech, the message has been crystal clear. Your life is a direct reflection of what you consistently choose to do, not what you occasionally dream about. When you look at the world around you, you see two kinds of people: the ones who watch life happen and the ones who make life happen. The ones who tell stories about what they wish they could be, and the ones who write stories about what they became. And the only thing separating those two groups isn't talent, luck, or opportunity. It's discipline. It's consistency. It's the courage to step up even when the path feels long, lonely, or uncertain. Because every great life is built on small, unglamorous, repetitive actions that compound into something extraordinary over time. And that's been the heartbeat of every keynote you've heard. You've learned that your boundaries, your habits, your internal dialogue, your discipline, they are the architects of the life you're trying to build. So now the spotlight turns to you. What will you do with everything you've learned? Will you let it fade the moment this video ends, or will you carry it into tomorrow's decisions? Will you allow yourself to slip back into old patterns, or will you refuse to return to the person you were before this moment? Because every day you wake up, you're handed a blank page. And the most powerful realization is this: no one is coming to write your story for you. No one is coming to save you, push you, or choose for you. You are the author. You are the builder. You are the force that determines whether your future looks like your fears or your potential. And if there's one thing I hope you take with you, it's the understanding that greatness isn't a destination. It's a responsibility. A responsibility to show up even when you don't feel like it. A responsibility to rise even when you fall. A responsibility to demand more of yourself than anyone else ever will. This entire speech has been a reminder that you already possess the strength, the ability, and the drive to rewrite your life. You just have to decide that today. Not someday, not when you're ready, not when things get easier. But today is the day you stop negotiating with your weaknesses and start choosing the version of you that you know you're capable of becoming.